Shu Yicao is a New York-based artist whose practice explores alchemical approaches to object making and knowledge production. Interested in the complex relationship between geographical, biological, and technological matters, she creates objects as physical manifestation of this dynamic material reality. I'm your host, Han Hongzheng. Welcome to Blunt Talk. What is your origin story? How did you get into making art?
I was born in Guangzhou and I went to Shanghai for college when I was 18. I was doing my undergrad and graduate studies in public policies. At that time, I had been interested in art in general, but I never thought of being an artist could be an option for me because none of my family members is in art, nor were my friends or peers. Being an artist as a career was just never on the table. I was too afraid to break free from what I had been convinced to be a good and successful life for all the years I have lived. Not until I had the opportunity to go to Milan, Italy for an exchange program during the second years of my master's. I spent 8 months in Europe, traveling, visiting museums and galleries, meeting people, having conversations. It was a life-changing experience for me. It was like an immersive crash course in art history, from the old master to modernism to contemporary art. But besides the aesthetics and intellectual stimulus, it changed my ideas of what is possible, what life should be about. You know, I was 24. I was uncertain about a lot of things in my life, and I found something so powerful. So I thought to myself, it is not too late to start all over again. That was the moment that I decided that I want to be an artist. I wanted to go to a place that I have never been before, a place that I don't know anyone, a place that everything is possible. So after getting back to Shanghai, I put together a portfolio and application for art school in New York. 1 year later, I'm here.
Well, welcome to New York. Would you consider yourself as an alchemist?
I see an alchemist as someone that reactivates elements, reorganizes matters with exploratory mind, someone who desires to create something that has never existed before. I definitely identify with that spirit because my practice can be described as an ongoing alchemical approach to object making.
How do you define alchemy within the context of contemporary art?
That's a good question. It is interesting that the alchemists in the Middle Age used to look down upon visual art as simply imitating nature, operating from externally, while alchemy reconstructs nature from within. In my opinion, I think the alchemist's vision of perfecting nature seems obsolete these days because our world does not hold the traditional distinction between the natural and artificial anymore. Just look at all the synthetic materials around us. On the other hand, a lot of contemporary artists these days have been taking the role of an alchemist. They invent novel application of materials and recipes. They initiate unconventional way of art making. They collaborate with scientists, technologists, and engineers. In that sense, they are the contemporary alchemists. I think a contemporary artist can be the catalyst of this kind of interdisciplinary exchange where I see my practice is going.
Next question is, due to their specific use of media, some artists are afraid of being pigeonholed into a particular genre. Are you afraid of being labeled as, for example, a glass artist or a stone artist?
Contemporary art is very open to material and medium, and glass certainly has its place in contemporary art. There are a lot of famous contemporary artists have incorporated glass into their work. Just to name a few, Yayoi Kusama, Louise Bourgeois, and Kiki Smith. They all have very well-known glass work, but nobody will label them as glass artists. My work is actually about exploring the dynamic relation between material, media, and technology. I may land on one particular media in a given period of time, but I'm not anchored to the specific material. For example, I have been obsessed with borosilicate glass for the past 3 years. But beyond spending hours and hours in the glass studio, I am also digging into the tradition of ceramic, experimental animation, digital fabrication, sculpting with mycelium, and so on. If anything, I'm not afraid of making a mess.
Make a mess. Let's move on to the next question. In addition to 3D objects, your artistic practice also expands to the digital realm. Can you tell us about this journey?
Yes, thank you for asking about that. I have been actively engaging with digital technology, from 3D scanning, modeling, to digital fabrication, such as 3D print, CNC millworks, and virtual world building in Unreal Engine. A lot of my physical sculptures combine a slew of different fabrication methods. For example, 2 of my recent sculptures made with cast resin and glass. The surface topographies are generated by a deep learning software trained on photographs I took from the road trip at remote desert, as well as generative algorithms that simulate biological structures. And all of these digital generated patterns are then materialized through a combination of digital fabrication and hand modeling, mold making, casting, and painting. So this process is very natural to me, the jump between digital and physical, because this is a reflection of our hybrid existence in this increasingly technologized world. Being a person born in the 1990s, I lived a life before this overwhelming technological wave, and I still hold my attachment to the physical handmade object, even though I have adapted to embrace this very different process of manufacturing. I attempt to operate fluidly across different media, especially when it comes to international commission. My upcoming exhibition in China, all the works produced for those shows are purely digital, and I will be sending them 3D models and it will be printed there. So I think this new series also manifests an alchemical approach to materiality and temporality.
So what's the next step for you?
For me, I am finishing these 2 upcoming exhibitions in China. As I mentioned earlier, all the work will be produced digitally and manufactured remotely. After the semester end, I'm going to Alberta, Canada to attend a summer residency at the Banff Center for Art and Creativity. It is a thematic residency centered around material transformation. That's literally the title of the residency. So we will be collectively exploring, experimenting with material transfiguration. And this fall, I will be joining the Pratt Institute as a visiting assistant professor, and I will teach a graduate course that I wrote. The title I draft for the course is Transmaterial Lab. So it's all related to what we were just talking about, different ways of understanding, manipulating, and applying materials be it physical, digital, or biological.
Well, thank you so much for joining Blunt Talk. It's such a great honor to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.